Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Inspired Voices with Sangwadzi. I bring different guests, ordinary people who are doing extraordinary work to this platform, and we talk about what they're doing in communities. And I've had interesting people over the years, really, when I've been doing this. And Wadzanai has been on my podcast before to talk about other things. And Wadzanai Garwe is my guest today. And today we want to talk about her book that she's recently authored, which is coming up tomorrow, right? But Wadzanai is something bigger than that. She's an economist with United Nations, international development. That's what she's been doing over the years. And she's an author of several books, and she's an advocate for people living with HIV. She herself has lived with HIV for 33 years. Amazing, amazing. That's another story for a whole podcast, But as I said earlier on, today we want to talk about her book, which is coming up tomorrow, Stepping Up with Wadzi, Lessons from My Life. Wadzanai is, as I said, as I've always told you, she's the quintessential storyteller. She talks about all kinds of things, and this I'm not to make you feel great about yourself, of which you should anyway. You have been on several occasions talked about domestic violence, and as I said, HIV, but all kinds of things inspiring other people. And I'd like to welcome you to my podcast, Wadzi.
Thank you, Tete. Thank you so much, Sangwadzi. Sangwadzi Spiwe is my beloved aunt. We were just, before we got into studio, just explaining how tangled the relationship is. Needless to say, it's through marriage, both my sister's marriage and my own marriage. And my children are very much her children. She's actually their grandmother. And it's just, she's just such an amazing cheerleader for me. She has stepped into my life. She's my stylist. She buys clothes for me. And that's one of her talents. She's very multi-talented. However, more than that, when we say that you need good mentors, Sangwadzi takes her Tete role very seriously. In our culture, which is in Zimbabwe, Tete is the one who provides you with the guidance, and she provides you with the family values. And so Tete Spiwe has always played that role in my life. She's always stepped in and said, my dear, this is what you need to do. This is how it's done. And it really helps because I come from the Zezuru tribe, and Tete Spiwe is Buja, and I married into the Buja tribe. So she was giving me the lessons in which to take care of her niece and nephew, actually her grandchildren, and she was telling me the steps through which how to do it, because each tribe comes with its own peculiarities. And so it's amazing to have her in my life. She's one of my greatest mentors.
Thank you, Wadzanai. I'm not so sure who is interviewing who now. She's telling me about my life, and I invited you to my podcast to talk about her book. That is the Wadzanai that, like I told you, she is it when it comes to storytelling. and yes, it's true. She's my niece, and I'm an aunt, and it's a whole big, thing out there. But Wadzanai, we want to talk about your book, which is coming up tomorrow.
Yes.
Stepping Into Wadzi. Just the title itself, to me, it's memoirs of becoming Wadzi, right? That's what I'm getting. Yeah. And all the entanglements that have happened in your life to make you the you that you are. You're an economist, you're a writer, you are doing a whole lot of things that I don't even know how you manage this. But let's talk about this book. And before I go there, I want to say I remember when we went to Cuba to celebrate your 50th birthday, because I was there. I like a party. I like a good party. So I joined her and a whole bunch of her friends there. And I had good talk with Wadzanai. And I said, Wadzi, you do a lot of things. Why don't you compile this, put this in a book?
This is truly Stepping Into Wadzi, Lessons from My Life. is actually the compilation of it's what you challenged me to do. 8 years to do it, Sangwadzi, because I was afraid. I was afraid. I've collaborated in a lot of books. We collaborated in a book, Township Girls, the generation, crossing over from Rhodesia to Zimbabwe. That was our first book. And I then did several collaborations. This book was solely about me. And I had such a hard time deciding which parts of me could I take into the public domain, because this is a living memoir of me, and I'm still alive. I'm not dead. So I'm judged, in living in real time. And one thing that I realized, I went back to the conversation we had in Cuba, but I also went back to a conversation I had with my niece. She's my niece through marriage. And she said to me, she also calls me Tete. Tete, we never hear from women who have made it what it takes to make it. And it's challenged me, because I had been given the stepping stones by you and people like you, the Sangwadzis, who give you lessons. And as we entered into a global community, we didn't sit under a tree, in our village now, hearing the lessons from Sangwadzi, which you usually would do. You would visit your tete would then sit you down and, give you some values. We don't have that anymore. So the ethos of this book is kind of providing that conversation that I would have had with my niece if we were able to sit under a tree and talk about the things that happen to a person during their life and what you learn from it. And I think, Sangwadzi, my biggest takeaways from everything that's happened to me, I'm a divorcee now. I'm also, I lost my father when I was young. And you suffer a lot of pain, and you suffer a lot of death in your life, but you also have a lot of moments of joy. Cuba, for example, was a celebration of 50 years, and it was surrounded by people who truly loved me. So I think the most important lesson, if you take nothing else from this book, is about self-love. If you learn to love yourself, you then can teach people how it is that they should love you. I know a lot of motivational speakers speak about boundaries and how to set those boundaries. You cannot set boundaries if you are broken yourself, because you do it from a position of being hurt and triggered, and but when you learn to love yourself. So what I did after all my heartbreaks, and there were many, including, as you said, mental health, I actually had a breakdown. I actually went into a psychiatric institution because I had a breakdown. And I was suffering from PTSD because of my work. I had been held up. It's a hostage situation. So I had suffered a lot of trauma. And the one thing that I learned through all of this was, Wadzi, who are you? Where are you? And I went back, Sangwadzi, to Wadzi, who was the teenage girl. And I said, how can I report back to her and say, did I remain the same person?
Well, Wadzi, this is very interesting how you're breaking it down, because I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and a lot of times I think people fail to step back and see themselves in the wholesome. Because when we were kids, we didn't have anything broken in us. Everything was just perfect. Even the few things that looked broken, they were okay, because that's all we knew. But what you are saying, what I'm hearing you say, is you took time to step aside and look at yourself and say, what made Wadzi be Wadzi? The good, the bad, the in between, and moving forward. Right.
And I started by forgiving myself, did. Sangwadzi, a lot of people spend a lot of their time not forgiving themselves. And
what do you mean? What do you mean?
What
Forgive
I
yourself
mean,
for what?
I
On
mean,
what?
for example, if you are in a situation of abuse, right? I did something that went against my values. I am very much a person who is about a person's privacy, right? And because I was being cheated on, I started to invade my partner's privacy. And I was so hurt because I had found him cheating that I was now going through his phone, a thing I had never done. And
No,
I
but
would never.
you know, the only one, and I mean, now you're talking to everybody else. There are so many people. I read these things. I don't have a husband to worry about with that now myself. You know, that's a different state that I'm in. But I hear a lot of people stories about, oh, I went to his phone, he's cheating on me and whatever. But that's another story. But what we're talking about is
That's what I had to. That's why, Sangwadzi, I had to forgive myself for losing a momentary time of that value, because what it helped me do, what confronting that issue of invading somebody's privacy made me confront myself, because it made me start to question, so you can move your values, so you can change your values, and values are things you don't change. And that moment, Sangwadzi, is a moment that I decided I don't want to be this person. I don't want another person to determine my behavior. My behavior must be mine. So that decision forced me to walk away from everything that I knew, right? It forced me to walk away from the social aspects of being married. It's easier to be married in society. To be somebody, to be Mrs. So and so, is so much easier than being a divorcee. And so I had to forgive myself for not honoring me, not honoring myself, not honoring what I believed in. So when I talk about forgiveness, it's not about forgiving the behavior. It's about forgiving the fact that I did not hold myself and love myself enough to say, you don't have to do that. You have choices. You chose to get into this situation. You can choose to get out of it without ruining your values.
That's true.
So this is what I talk about when I say forgive yourself first. You're human. You will stray. You will have days when you don't feel too good, days when you shout at somebody when you shouldn't, that sort of thing. But if you love yourself enough to forgive yourself and then to say, so who am I? And that's where this book goes. Who am I? Who is Wadzi? And throughout all this, what have I learned? What are the lessons I've learned in my 58 years? I'm 58 right now. I turned 59 this year.
Looking good. Looking good.
Oh, you told me, honey, we always look good. We do not look like our problems. That's what my Sangwadzi says, And Sangwadzi, the most beautiful lesson I learned was to date and love myself. I took myself on dates. I took myself on solo travels. I did things with myself so that when somebody now dates me, I know the standard I want of the man who's going to come into my life. I don't need this partner to come and fill some void. I want him to come to be a partner, a true partner, for somebody who is 100% herself.
Well, and also because, like you said, you have forgiven yourself for the things that you did, and at that time was what you knew. But now that you know better, you know Wadzi, yeah, those are the lessons in your life leading to who you are right now. That's really fascinating. I find that totally fascinating that a person can actually decide to walk towards the real you.
It's a very difficult thing to do. to sit with yourself, to step back, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
and really examine yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And what is so beautiful about, I've always been forthright, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
Sangwa. I've always been who I am. The beauty of being myself is when somebody says to me, I need you to do this, I'm able to say, no, I can't. I cannot do that because it goes against everything I hold dear. Find somebody else who can do it. I am not the one, right? And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to set boundaries based on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
As a mother, and as you know, you're a grandmother now.
I
There is
sure
this
am.
constant, there's this constant call to come and cater to your children, your grandchildren. And one thing that you taught me, Sangwadzi, was you said to me, I only do it if I am fulfilled and I know that I have the time
Mm-hmm.
and the patience and the ability to do it. And I think this is so important, that you do not put yourself in spaces where you will be on the back foot because you're
No,
compromising.
no, no.
You said,
Like you said,
yes,
even with grandchildren, we love grandchildren. And I go on Facebook and say, I will post whatever I want, about it. Even they know that. They say, oh, God. Then I'll say, no, 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 no. I can't do that now. Even they know that, but if Gogo doesn't want to, she won't do it. So if you can do that with yourself, I think it's very important because, that when we talk of boundaries, sometimes we don't really understand it. But like you said, you've got to draw the line. And you did that with yourself in
I
your life.
did.
Mhm.
I'll give you the most profound lesson. At 50, I had never measured my bra size. I had taken my daughter to have her bra size measured. I had bought bras to make sure, because she was a growing girl, make
Mhm.
sure, the bras are comfortable, make sure they are,
Mhm.
situated properly, make sure they are supporting you. I had never done the same thing for myself.
Why?
No, because I was so busy taking care of everybody. I had settled on a size, and I just used to go into Woolies. I used to buy myself beautiful things, but they were the wrong size.
How did you arrive? I mean, because you've got big bazookas, you gotta
Yes,
wear, the girls gotta hold properly. How did you arrive at a figure in your head that give me size 38? Or how did you even get
honestly, Sangwadzi, I don't know. I couldn't explain it to you how, as long as it fit and it looked good, right? To me, I would just wear it. I remember buying a beautiful, dress to go to a party. It was a 50th anniversary as well. And this lady, she just brought a few bras, the strapless bras, tried them on, and the one that fit, we didn't even measure, even with that lady, right? We just tried a few, and then the one that fit and made it look good, that was the one. So I walked into a Victoria's Secret. I'd never been in a Victoria's Secret. And I thought to myself, I'm going to spoil myself. I'm going to buy myself some
nice bra?
underwear, you know? And the lady said, "What size do you wear?" I told her, and she said, "No, let's measure, you know." And so she measured me. I was 3 sizes off. I was buying bras that were too big for me. And it was such a defining moment for me, because it said to me, you were so intentional about your daughter. You were so intentional about everybody else, but you neglected yourself.
But do you think that time when you were neglecting yourself and didn't even bother to go and have yourself measured and just assuming that's okay? Do you think, what do you say about that? What do
I
you
was
think
in a
in
I
real
was
life?
I was in a space, and a lot of us do that when we become parents.
Yeah.
I was in a space where the focus was, I need to make the money to put the kids through school. I need to look after my husband. I need to look after my broader extended family. So there was no time for me. And I didn't make time for me. And the thing was, Tete, I wasn't actually neglecting myself. I would do things I loved for me. I just wasn't intentional about those things. Now, if I'm going to pick glasses, I will take time. I wear specs. I will take time to go and sit with the optician and, take the latest style and see if it suits me. So I'm very intentional now about everything that I do for me. It's not a question of this is enough, or this will just suffice. Mm-hmm. No, now it's Wadzi, how do you look in this? Is it good for you? Or how do you feel in it? Is this the color for you? What I love about our relationship, Sangwadzi, and this is going back to the when you style my clothes, mm-hmm. You'll get back to me and say, that shows your love handles, darling. Can you put something over? It's a beautiful color on you, but just put something so that you're not highlighting the more unattractive parts, right? And that is love, Sangwadzi, because you're not saying to me, take it off, right?
No.
You're saying to me, that looks great, but it would look greater if you styled it like this. And we've been watching a lot of these, social media people, creators who show us this is just an outfit and this is how you style it, mm-hmm. So what I'm doing now by loving myself is I'm styling Wadzi. Yep. The basic Wadzi is fantastic. I am a fantastic package. But
that is fantastic to hear. It's wonderful to hear a woman who said, you know what, I'm happening and I'm it. It's not too many people who have reached that point because they think there's something wrong with doing that or even saying it in words like you said. But I'm cool. I work for the United Nations. I'm well-spoken. I'm well-written. And I'm a great package. It's not everybody who does it. It takes, like your book says, getting towards it, stepping into Wadzi. This is you.
And I like that. Sangwadzi, you also have to accept the parts of you that are impatient, for example, right? I don't suffer fools gladly. I really don't. I don't have time for nonsense. I'm quite happy to say that because I don't want somebody thinking, oh, she just doesn't like me because no. Yeah, you're wasting my time. It's got nothing to do with you. I will tell you, So the beauty of accepting yourself, and I think there's a problem which a lot of people have a problem with is my ego getting too big for me. Mm-hmm. So when I say Wadzi is awesome, do I sound pompous or whatever? I'm not saying everybody loves Wadzi or this version of me. Mm-mm. What I'm saying is I love this version of me as I am. I'm very happy to be who I am. I'm not a people pleaser anymore. I'm not shape-shifting to try and suit the purposes of people. I'm saying to people, this is who I am. Take me as I am. I will give you the same energy you're giving me, and I will accept who you are as you are. I love the saying, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I think it was Oprah who said it. Yeah. I believe who people are because I will tell you who I am, So I don't go on the expectation. Sangwadzi, we were told as young girls, you go for potential. When you're marrying, when you're dating, you go for potential. No, you go for actual. You go for behavior. You go for what the person has shown you. So this is what I've done with me. I'm showing you, and in this book, I'm coming to the world and saying, this is who I am. These are the lessons I've learned through certain things I've had to go through. And through each thing, I came up with, I need to love myself first in order to be able to pour back. As you said, I'm a giver. I love to give. Mm-hmm. But now my giving is determined by, is it hurting me or is it something that I'm pouring from a cup that's overflowing? So if it's hurting me, no, I can't do it.
So, if I may, it's amazing how time goes fast. We are already at 25 minutes. We only have 5 minutes left. I want to ask you, your book, Stepping Into Wadzi-Lessons from My Life. You've explained quite a bit the past 20 minutes, what is your walk towards becoming you. What do you want people to learn from this book?
Firstly, radical self-compassion. Don't be so hard on yourself. Yes, you've gone through stuff. As I said, forgive yourself and learn from that forgiveness. Don't repeat the behavior once you've learned it. Everything is a choice. If you choose to repeat the behavior, you are choosing to again put yourself on a back foot. The second thing I would like people to learn is radical self-acceptance. Accept yourself, warts and all. I loved the piece you did about going to the gym, Sangwati, where you said, I'm turning 70 for crying out loud. Do I have to get up every morning and go to the gym, or can I roll with it now that I've put in so much? I love that piece because you are saying, I've put in the work. I'm just now going to accept who I am. And I'm going to continue because you love the gym. I know you love it. And
I hate getting up, though. I hate getting up. I love exercise.
You love the gym, though. So it's the radical self-acceptance to say, and why I say it's radical. The word radical is something that's extreme. It's radical because so many people don't do it. So it's actually a radical act to accept yourself. It's a radical act to be compassionate with yourself. And it's a radical act to love yourself as you are and say, boy, I'm enough right here where I am.
Because you're the best thing that ever happened to you, really.
Exactly.
The best thing that has ever happened to you. So if you don't like you, I don't know who will. I mean, even potential there might not even like you. So really, I think it's powerful what you just say. It's radical. When you talk of something radical, it's something stepping out of yourself and getting there and telling yourself, this is it, right?
Exactly. And you are the longest relationship you will ever have with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to have a beautiful relationship with myself. I want to look in the mirror and say, girl,
You're
have lived.
You are happening. On that point, Wadzi, you are happening. And to those people who are listening to Wadzanai Valerie Garwe, the woman, I'm telling you, I could just sit there and just listen to her. I am supposed to be the aunt, but half the time I just listen to this woman, and I could do an hour talking to Wadzanai. You inspire me. You inspire a lot of people. And really, at this point, we want to be able to raise your voice, to educate other people, to inspire them, as I said, and learn from those, I don't want to call them mistakes, to learn from those experiences. We all have gone through. They are different with each and everybody. And honestly, I would like to urge anybody and everybody who would like to buy the book. Yeah, it's on Amazon.
No, it's tomorrow, the paperback. So the 11th of March, the paperback.
Tomorrow.
And the paperback is available worldwide in bookstores. You can ask your bookstore wherever you are in the world to buy the book. They just order it and they get it, and you can buy it where you're located. I fought for this so that it would be available everywhere.
On that point, Wadzanai, good luck. I'm going to head out to the mall right now and order, and I'm serious, to order mine and to support my niece, to support women who are torch bearers. And you are an amazing person, and I say, I mean it, because I've watched you grow. I've watched you develop into the woman that you are, who is hot as ever, who is shining all the time and lifting the bar for other women. And you go, girl. I really want to thank you for coming to my podcast today to talk about the book and to talk about you and inspire other people who might be staggering and trying to get their feet on the ground and keep going. Thank you, Wadzanai. And for those who are watching, please subscribe to my podcast, Inspired Voices with Sangwadzi. I can't get a Facebook page until I reach 100 subscribers. So please, for all those who are watching, subscribe so that we can get a page for Inspired Voices and we can have more things on it. And I'll have another guest next week to talk about their life and what they're doing in Wadzanai. Thank you so much. And everybody, have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.